Hello, hello out there. Lori Day here, one of the two broads of the Two Broadcasters podcast with my awesome co-host Sarah Jenkins. We are here today. I'm coming from a different little studio space, Sarah. You know, it was a 24-hour whirlwind. I'm not gonna lie. All right.
You're making me look empty. I feel like I'm in the vast whiteness of something.
Well,
the bland background, and you have all of the green and verdant glory over there.
Sarah, you're bringing all the shine without the background. I'm over here going, how much more background can I get? And how many more props can I make? Because this is where the video essence of our show now has taken me, which is how to deflect as much as possible away from looking at this old broad. All right. But no, there was a move out of the house. And so I swooped in and just declared this space a new studio / office so that I don't have to drive to go to the podcast recording every week. But I hope everybody's well out there. And, we're coming in with maybe, technical difficulty. And today I'm going to blame the tech problems on the new space. So that's why I wanted to just go ahead and give it a name right off the bat. But anyway, really glad to be here. We are new up on YouTube. Please go and check us out. Sarah has been producing some stuff for the YouTube thing now. She is going gangbusters. And actually the shorts that she's putting out are going gangbusters. We have, I think, 3 episodes up on YouTube now. But please go and subscribe. We would really appreciate that.
4.
We have 4 now. That's right.
We have 4. Yeah, one came out yesterday. So.
That's right. So excuse that. 4. Come on. And we're in double digits of subscribers. Just saying. But if anybody out there knows how the universe of the Al Gore's rhythms work, that you gotta like, you gotta comment, you gotta subscribe. It's just like this numbers game. Nobody likes this. Nobody listen. But when you're trying to do a thing and it's an important thing to your heart, we would most appreciate you giving the Two Broads a little bit of a subscribe hit there. What you do with it in your own time is your own business. But I'm just saying it would help us if you would get on board with this, and as well as that on the social medias. But yeah, really, we've got the podcast out, and we've had it out on almost 4 years running on all the platforms out there. And now finally up on YouTube. Okay, we're off to the races. Sarah,
we actually have to put clothes on now, like real clothes. Not that we didn't have clothes on. Everyone knows what I'm saying.
Let's make that clear.
We can't roll up in the podcast in pajamas or like yesterday's sweatshirt or, T-shirt from jogging or whatever. So.
Side note, Sarah, actually you could. I mean, I don't know.
I don't jog, but
people go out in their pajamas. Now, this is not something that I've typically been a big fan of. And it's like, yeah, whatever though, whatever.
That's the Walmart uniform. I mean, sorry,
Well, and listen, I'm bringing this up because you mentioned doing it in our pajamas. I was in a grocery store last week, and I walked by this guy, and he's smiling. So I just go, "How you doing?" And I just keep pushing my cart, and he goes, "Well, I'm pretty entertained right now is what I am." He goes, "Honestly, I don't know if it's entertainment though, or absolute disgust." And I'm just like, bro, what? Wait, I don't know if I got time for this. Right. So I'm just kind of like turning around going, yeah, okay. He just goes, "Did you just see that person wearing their pajamas in the store?" And I'm just like, is this the first time you've had one of those sightings? Okay. But it was.
Oh, listen, that's the tamest thing you could see.
Exactly. This guy was completely like, mind was blown. He was a newbie to the whole pajamas out in public situation. So
he must have just come in from 1956 and he was like, what is happening at the store? So well, my hat's off to him. Wow.
Hats off to him. And listen, Sarah, I guarantee you there's podcasters out there doing it in pajamas. And listen, go, you do what you got to do. But
that's
you're right. We're trying
now
to.
Now that we're on the tube,
Look, I'm not trying to look like Katie Couric or anything over here. And matter of fact, though, Sarah, I chose my outfit appropriately for you today. You can't really see it, can you? Can you see it now?
Oh, it's Muse. But look at what we did. Hold up. We both have.
Oh my word.
We've got a gray sweater and a black shirt.
Oh
underneath.
my. Okay,
oh,
come on.
Man.
Give me a virtual
right.
soul.
There we go.
All right.
So everybody
That's
can see our
nuts.
wrinkled hands. All right.
So, oh my God, listen, it's the least of our problems. But Sarah.
Oh man.
Are we out? Am I out? Technical difficulties
No,
already?
You're good.
No, I don't know.
Oh.
But this came up
in loud and clear.
We went and saw Muse in Philadelphia on January 31st.
We did.
10 years ago. 10 years ago. What is happening right now? So I was thinking about that as I was deciding what to put on for the old cast today. So I'm like,
I love it.
Haven't busted out the Muse drones. And listen, the whole joystick controlling the people, I felt that was appropriate as well for some of our content today.
I think so.
So listen, with that really weird side angle, maybe relevant segue.
I think it's a great segue. We do have a guest.
We have a guest who I'm super love and excited about. So Sarah, I'm gonna let you take the reign on that.
All right. I kind of know this guy, and
you do.
He's been on the show a couple of times before. So this is his third appearance on the show. So anyone who hasn't met my son Connor can now officially meet him. Connor Jenkins is here again on the show. He's on now. We can see him because the last two times we could only hear him. So everyone can put a face, and he sometimes occasionally makes a little cameo behind me.
Yes, he does.
So you'll see him again. You'll see him
tech
again.
support.
But Connor's on the show today, and Connor is an engineer in identity access management, which is an arm of cybersecurity. He works in corporate, and so he's on the show. He's always got his eyes and ears in the tech space. What is going on out there in the world of technology, in the world of, he is a lot with quantum computing and AI, just all the things that are going on out there, like kind of staying abreast of the situation. And he will bring me things that he thinks are really relevant to kind of the future of things and where things are going. And recently, Connor brought to my attention a video from and I've just heard of the guy. I've not watched a lot of his stuff. I know Connor's very familiar with him, but a guy who works a lot in the computer field with computer repair. He's a business owner, entrepreneur. And so we've talked about AI before on the show a couple of times. We've had like 2 shows, Lori, on AI already. And this is not, for anyone listening, this is not another show on AI. This is a show on what the future holds for, I think we can just go ahead and say, all of us going forward with the progression of the way things are going. Because I think no matter who you are, what your job space is, or what's going on, what is happening right now, the projections that we can make from it are going to impact each and every one of us, especially those of us who are creators, entrepreneurs, business owners, or if you work a 9 to 5. So I'm going to bring Connor on. So Connor, welcome to the show again. Just if you want to kind of bring us into why this particular topic kind of struck you the way that it did, and why you felt it was going to be such a great discussion point for all of our listeners.
Yeah, well, obviously with AI, there's a lot of changes that have happened over the past, say, couple of years now. Really when, ChatGPT started to get really popular, and then you started having like Gemini and Copilot and DeepSeek, a whole bunch of different AI models out there. Certainly way more than what I just mentioned. But what was striking me about this is that with this video that I saw by Louis Rossmann, it wasn't just talking about, oh, here's the cool ways you can use AI to be more productive. It was, well, here's what you're going to be forced to have to do with AI because now these big tech companies, and again, this is, I don't know if big tech companies have come out and said publicly if like they're doing this on purpose or what. I don't stay up to date on everything they say, but just the fact that they're now, it would appear that they're training their algorithms to prefer AI created content over human created content. And just how that's going to impact the creative space, how it's going to impact the business space, how it's going to impact people to be able to be authentic about who they are, and to have their own brand and their own personality as they're interacting from either social perspective, creative perspective, business perspective, and their life, especially with how integrated everyone is with the internet is these days. So
Yeah.
It was very alarming watching that video clip that, that Sarah had sent me, that you'd sent us. But yeah, I loved his approach in that he made this so personal. So he walked his own company through trying to get himself rated higher within the internet, showing when you go and you Google search or whatever. And so he was trying to update his website, which then became just like this really big project in trying to everything from obvious things that you think you do to try and boost your ranking in the algorithm, to very minutia, to trying to change each and every page. He walked through all these different changes he made. He hired people really advanced in what they do. He did all these things to try and get his website to rank higher. And then, he finally asked AI, I believe it was Gemini. Is that correct?
correct. Yep.
He asked Gemini's opinion on what it could do. And of course, it recommended that he could, change it to some of the more algorithmic vocabulary that is sort of AI produced. Put it through that, and then he just watched his where he came in on the algorithm under a search just go from like 100 to in top 10. The more changes he did to each page that incorporated more and more of the AI vocabulary, and it was stunning to me, because from my point of view, it's like not that surprising, but yet I was surprised in that it seems like they're going to hornswoggle us into forcing us between how high, because his point was, I have employees, so I can rank down here, in the top 100 way down there, and wonder if my business will survive because there's so many up on top that people are just who goes through 100 to find a repair person or this or that, like anything, right? People now, we want the perfect thing coming in the top 3,
Right.
And so he was just like, this is where we find ourselves, because it was like, well, I'm going to get more business if I'm ranked higher and I can not have to worry about firing people. But his thing was, but it doesn't read like me at all. And I do not like my own website. And it removed so much of my own, what made me a popular company and I was able to hire people in the first place with, is gone. And that was, come on. We don't want this.
No, nobody should want that. I think that's what makes each business individual, each creator, whether you're doing online content, whether you have a small business, whether you work from home with a business, you have a storefront business, whatever you're doing, or you just have a blog that you're putting out there. We each have our own unique individual spin that we're putting on things, and our personality comes out. And typically people follow you or people patron you and your establishment, whatever it is that you're doing, because they like you. They like your niche, there's something you're bringing to the table. Like, think of all the coffee shops that are available for people to go to. Why do you go to the one that you go to? Why is it your favorite coffee shop? You like the ambiance. You like the people there. There's something about them. You love the coffee, but there's something there more than just because you can get a great cup of coffee just about anywhere, right? And so it's that personal spin on anything that we do that makes our products unique. Our business, a product, a book. Think of authors writing books. Like, there's so many things about us as individuals that make what we do very unique because it came from us. And it's not this bland thing. It's not this computerized thing. And I think that, losing that is really detrimental to a business. And what you're going to find, I think, is you're going to find a lot of, I think this is a hit on small business, on mom and pop things, on the individual trying, because you're going to get larger corporations that are going to have, I think, the advantage here with all of this. What do you think, Connor?
I mean, I think, yeah, absolutely. Because especially, larger corporations, they can pour a lot more time and money into researching AI, figuring out how to make it work with their infrastructure and how they're going to be able to use it effectively. Because like one of the big things with AI right now is you got to make sure that, okay, it's not making mistakes. So you have to have people to proofread what AI says. And, as such, large corporation has more manpower to go over and do that. A large corporation has more ability to train an AI to be able to accommodate with what they're trying to put out there. So yeah, I think, large corporations are going to have it easier adopting it. But also, I think kind of like just with the way this removes creativity, and you have to, I think Louis Rossmann used the term putting everything through like the AI filter. I feel like we're going to have a lot less unique local businesses or startups, because what a lot of what adds the flavor to a startup or local business is the person behind it who's starting it, and the people who are working together with them, and what they contribute, and what they add from a creative perspective. But if everything's getting filtered through this AI, and what the AI says, well, this is the most efficient way to show up on the search results, then how is that not all going to come off as like just bland, just lifeless, robotic.
Right.
Yeah.
And then everything kind of starts to look the same, I would think. And in a way, I think you're going to get a lot of same, because AI is never going to be as unique as human beings. And people can argue this with me all they want to. There's a hill I will die on, that AI does not have a soul, and so it does not have the uniqueness and the individuality that humans have. And there is just something that humans possess that AI never can. I don't care how good it gets. I don't care how advanced it gets. There will always be this thing, whether people can put their finger on it or not, that humans possess that AI cannot. And that's just, that is, I'm going to die on that hill. I have had so many conversations like this, and people are like, well, but I'm like, no, at the end of the day, it's not human, and it can mimic humanity all at once, but it's not. And I just really quick want to say, for anyone listening or watching who's not familiar with SEO, that is search engine optimization. And SEO is when anytime you go online and you're searching for something, whether you're typing in something specific or you're typing in just a general search, that initial list of what pops up in the search is based on the optimization of that. So it's keywords that are in descriptions that are, whether it's on a website or whatever it may be, it's keywords. It is the way things are kind of spun and worded, and that will cause things to pop up. And there's a lot of other things that go into it as well. But just to kind of condense it, and Connor, you can come in and kind of elaborate on that if you want to. But SEO is important for anyone that needs to be found. And I'll just use our podcast, Lori, because people go, and if they just search two broads or the two broadcasters, we do pop up at the top if you type into broadcasters because of Apple and Spotify. Apple and Spotify have very good SEO. We are popping up, and that's good. If you were just to put two broads, or I don't know, something that's more vague, we are not going to necessarily pop up. But the reason I bring up the podcast is because anything that we're doing, if we're writing a description on YouTube, if we're putting things in our bios on the socials, if we've got a web page, if we're what Louis Rossmann was talking about, and I think what is so crucial here is that giving preferential treatment to AI language in SEO, okay, is going to mean that if you wrote it yourself, and just so all of our listeners know, we're writing all of our content ourselves here. We have not used any AI. AI is given preferential treatment. And so all of those things are going to pop up in the top of the search.
Yeah.
And everything else is going to be put at the bottom. And I had an experience with this yesterday, and Connor and I were talking about this earlier. This is nothing new. We've all seen this, but yesterday was the worst I've ever seen it. I was looking for a kitchen tool, went on my search engine, something that I wanted to buy to be able to use to cook something very specific in my kitchen. And I typed in what I was looking for. And usually, you get the usual, you get the big box companies that pop up, but you'll get, all these other businesses. You'll get a lot of hits. An Etsy may even be in there, all different kinds of things. I scrolled, and I usually do scroll down. I scrolled and I scrolled and I scrolled and I kept flipping this over and over, like trying to, all right, let's find some other businesses. It was list after list after list after list of Amazon, Walmart, Amazon, Walmart, Amazon, Walmart. Then a couple of random chef supply, kitchen supply store things didn't have quite what I needed. Amazon, Walmart, Amazon, 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 Amazon. And I could not find a regular store that would, or business. And I was looking for crumpet rings, sometimes called English muffin rings. I want to make some crumpets. Okay. So this is like what I thought would be super easy and simple to find. Right. And nothing. And a lot of times I'm looking for kitchen gear, and I've found some really cool companies that will pop up, and I never heard of them before because they pop up in the search engine. None of that happened. Yesterday, it was all Amazon, 100% Amazon and Walmart.
And by the way, Walmart doesn't have that.
We're not getting our crumpet rings at Walmart.
No, I don't feel that. I just don't. But clearly I don't. Clearly everything's just off the rail. I don't know. I'm thinking people barely cook. You're not doing crumpets from Walmart. What are we doing right now?
But as an example of if you have a flower shop, if you have name what you do, you have a blog, you're making jewelry, you have some sort of social media platform, whatever the thing is, and you're not using Gemini, because that is the AI that is owned by Google. If you're not using AI to write your script for you, you are now pushed to the bottom lines of the SEO, and people can't find you. And that's why it's not about, well, AI is going to take these jobs and they're going to take these jobs, because that's what everybody talks about. It's stealing art and it's taking jobs. No, it's pushing your business out of view.
Yes.
And this has bigger ramifications for everyone, whether you own a business or not. Because if you work for a business, you might get laid off because of what is coming as a result of this.
Correct. And Sarah and Connor, when I listened to this, it was all about me. Okay. I felt personally attacked. And because for example, in relationship to the podcast, and we both write. So I have a blog, and Sarah's an author of books. It's horrifying, what we're seeing. But we talk about the authenticity that we're trying to just be conversational style, without filter, without, we're not trying to pretend we're doing, some sort of a PowerPoint presentation over here. We're not trying to present ourselves as, we're doing a Harvard class on something because we're the experts. There's no letters after our names. What we're trying to evoke through our entire being is bringing back this conversation, sharing things that you learn about with others, and trying to invite other people into the conversation. And we pride ourselves on just being authentic, which means we're not going to get everything right. We're not even, it's not about that. It's just about being human and, speaking from passion and the things of which we do know. And then inviting people on who know more than us or have some other interesting story, and all of that. The humanitarianism is what our entire podcast is about. So in listening to this gentleman, you're saying to yourself, because one of the things we talk about is we both, I think, fall on the sword of eventually people are going to get so sick and tired. And I think it's actually really there already, of just the AI dribble. People are getting hip to it. They can kind of detect it better now because they over pushed it. You didn't see, here's a good clue, people, in case you didn't know. Nobody writes a blog for a Facebook post. Okay. And you see more and more now, like 12 to 15-minute reads.
Yeah.
Okay. No. And so people are just like, I didn't come to Facebook to read. That's what Substacks, whatever, right? You got the whole thing. And people are just going to get so tired of it. So we've always said, the more authentic you hold to your own, what it is about you and the art that you create and the words you put out and this, that, and the other thing is going to find, like, cream's going to rise to the top. People are going to find you, whatever. And so in hearing this, Connor, what I heard was, no, they're not. They're not going to find it there because we don't want cream. We want water. We want watered down. And the other thing that struck me, and I want your opinion on this, Connor, is yes, I agree in that this is all about pushing out entrepreneurs. That's been under the gun for a while now, in different ways. But yes, that's could be a death nail. But also I was thinking about the fact that I think a lot of people are not using ChatGPT already. Like, I don't think their sales are where they need them to be. I think people are getting tired of it I think there's some people who are tired of it before they even tried it. I think some people had the subscription, have already gotten rid of it. I think some people, and I feel like this is a way to force you into buying their crappy product, which is, by the way, raping and pillaging our resources. What's your thought on that?
Oh, there's quite a bit to unpack there. So
welcome to the show where our suitcases are large and unpacking takes days.
On the raping and pillaging resources part, I think people in my field can very much relate to, because a lot of us, we do tech for our job, but we also are like really big into tech outside our job, and we want to, build computers and set up labs at home to test things. And one big thing that has been really annoying to people in my social space in the tech field is the RAM prices. And it's because you have all these big tech companies like Microsoft, Google, you name it, buying up OpenAI, buying up so much RAM, DDR5 RAM, and then they're putting them to use to build the AI infrastructure. And you know what the crazy part was? I think it was, I could be mistaken on this. It was someone from Microsoft. I think it was their CEO that said that they have so much hardware they've bought up, they don't have enough racks in their data center to mount this stuff into.
Wow.
Wow.
And so this is driving prices of RAM up. And so, tech enthusiasts, people who work in the tech field that want to build something at home that needs RAM, computers need RAM, then, well, now we're going to have to opt for, older RAM, or we're going to have to find some type of workaround. Like some people have been taking like laptop RAM and have been making adapters for it to use in desktops. So it's that part's crazy. But then just on the what was it you said before, the raping and pillaging of resources?
I was talking about how what was I talking about? I was talking about them. Yeah, it seems obvious that they're, putting the kibosh on business, but also, do you think it's about how to get people forced to buying their product of AI? Because I don't think a lot of people want it. Like this is a way to shove it down your throat.
Yeah, I think most of what I see as far as like people wanting it versus not wanting it, and that's a great point to bring up. I think a lot of companies want to find a way to use it, but then as far as individuals, I mean, just about everywhere I go and everyone I talk to, someone has something bad to say about AI. Even though they might use AI for something, or they might have used AI before, but they have something bad to say about it. And I think a lot of it really gets called out in comments on videos and stuff too. Like, I was going to bring this up because, of course, you have the business aspect that's going to be impacted by them trying to force this, but you have an impact on knowledge too. And what I mean by that is, so more so I've seen it with shorts than long form content. But on YouTube, there's just been this huge flood of AI created shorts, and it's really annoying. And usually you can pick them out because they use some very robotic sounding voices, but some of them, some of them might be using better voices. Could talk a little bit more about that in a bit, but one of the big things I've been seeing on my feed lately are these history shorts. And they're really silly because it's these AI made videos. So it's haha funny, this looks really janky and weird and that's not realistic. But on another point of it, everything that's being said in that, is it really true? And I go and look at the comments and you have people pointing out, well, no, that's not accurate about the Romans. They did this. They didn't do that, what was pointed out in this short. Or no, this sword didn't have those details. Or no, they didn't have this assassination happen in this way. It was done in this way. Or oh, no, they didn't create ice or store ice this way. It was this way. You get the point. So even darker than the business impact is the impact on history, and how if people are just listening to these shorts and be like, oh yeah, that's what happened in the past.
I know. And then they're excited to learn something. Yeah. I've noticed that, Connor. Like all of a sudden I'm like, why am I being fed so many things about people that I seem fascinating, but I've never heard of ever, which clearly I've not heard of everybody ever. But these, and I am a history fan, although my algorithm should not necessarily indicate that. That's not like a normal, you know what I'm saying? That's not like a regular thing that I subscribe to, just all kind of history things or this, that, and the other thing. But I am flooded with these sites that are telling you about, and it's about geography as well. So I got history and geography and famous people that you've never heard of, as though we're all going to school all of a sudden. It's like, wow, where was this in school? Because none of us learned any of this in school.
Yeah.
So don't worry, we got you. We're going to start making, the internet the place where you're going to just get it in your feed, and we're all going to make you all smarter. Don't trust this. I do not trust this.
Yeah, no, it's brand new history, Lori.
I do not. New. I don't like it. I wish it was real. I wish people knew history. I wish, and there are some aspects of, a lot of people have been lying about a lot of history for a long time. I get that. But this new internet, and I'm calling it the new internet, the new internet sucks. It's horrible. Ever since this whole thing about the algorithm ramp up, knowing that they got the bots and the AI stuff ramping it up, it's absolutely horrible. And the search engine aspect of it is just one piece of the proof of how much this sucks. And I don't know, people, I my mind goes to how do we keep our voices in this? And I'm sure, but to your point also, Connor, you mentioned like people like you having a hard time being able to afford RAM, this, that, and the other thing. Well, again, that's another example of a individual smart mind, another potential small new business, another, it's like we can't have you people, that we're planning on just putting all in Crocs and feeding, the Gatorade of the Idiocracy film. Listen, we can't have that. We need you to learn. We need you to sit back, relax at the Wally wheel, okay, and just
Yeah.
learn things via your screen. We're here for
Yeah.
you. Don't be getting any wily ideas about making some of your own stuff. That's what I feel is happening. Is that what you guys feel is happening?
Yeah, I think it is, and yeah, it just seems like more and more with AI, and one thing that's really concerning me is just an over reliance on AI to get things done. Like, I think it's fine if you're using AI to help troubleshoot something or research something, just so long as you're not taking what the AI is saying and like copying and pasting it or following it like step by step, everything it tells you like it's the absolute truth.
Fact
I
check.
Yeah, I think it's good to like, could be useful to prompt AI and say, "Hey, here's something that's going on with this computer of mine," or "Hey, I want to know a little bit more about this." And then taking what it gives you and being like, "Okay, well, here's a direction I can go and start doing some research in," because there's going to be false information in it, and you need to look at it, uh, and especially on the troubleshooting, it might give you some really bad steps, do these things to your computer, it'll fix it, and it might break something, or it might not
So you
doing
get to
anything
buy
at
another
all.
one. Yeah.
Yeah,
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 get
you
to
could
buy
go
another
buy another
one,
one. Yeah.
or it had you do something that does absolutely nothing, and you have no idea what kinda junk you just create on your computer because you don't know what you ran, you just did what the AI told you to do. So, if you're gonna use AI, it's good to get a direction towards something. It can be easy to get like, "Oh, here are 10 different directions I can go in. Let me start researching these and figure out logically what makes the most sense, what's the most accurate, what's good to try first, or what's good to research first to help me come up with this topic," then that's great. That's all fine. But when you're using it to say, "Oh, create all this art for me," or "Write this entire book for me," or "Do everything for me," then how are you gonna increase any skill of your skills? How are you gonna develop, your talent? You're not. You're just having a computer do it for you, and that's
Yeah.
that's it.
And Connor,
And
how
some
do you feel?
people
Well, how do you feel about people using it, to win arguments? So,
um,
okay, because and am I wrong here? Tell me, clarify this for me. I was told that AI will spit out to you the answer it thinks you want based on your algorithm. So the data that they have on you and your leanings towards whether it's political, this, that, or the other thing, that AI is actually spitting out when you ask it something geared towards the answer you're already wanting to see. This reminds me of, you're just hanging out in your own echo chamber all the time. Is that true?
so I can't say for certain, but I believe it. I've never used it to argue with someone because I don't see the point in doing that. But what I will say is that if, say, I've been prompting an AI for something and I've noticed this, um, and then I switch to maybe a tangentially related topic in the same conversation, I can tell that or see based on its following responses that it's pulling from the prior topic. So I could see how, like, if you were sitting there chatting with an AI about, some heated debate topic and it saw that, oh, this is your opinion on something, and its opinion didn't like go outside the rules, it's supposed to follow the guidelines, then maybe it could tailor toward your side if you're saying, I want to try to argue for this position. But yeah, that's what I think on it.
Yeah, because I don't, Sarah, well, you've probably both seen it. I think I'm speaking to a lot of what I'm saying too lends itself for how many influencers there are on Facebook who speak out about maybe they're solo topic people or maybe they're whatever. And some of them are fine. They're, absolutely seem like, sensible, bright human beings. But you'll notice more and more, like they'll have behind them, like to make their point of what they've been saying, they'll have like a screenshot of the Genesis answer or the ChatGPT, whichever. And I feel like that's being used now as sort of like, see, I've been saying it. This says it too.
Validation. Yeah,
as being used as a validation situation, which then I think if people have 500,000 followers, this, that, or the other thing, people are kind of going, oh, this person seems to think it's a way to verify or this, that. You know what I'm saying? The implication is there.
Yeah, it actually makes me think of I think when Gemini was first like released for people to start using openly. I remember hearing stories or seeing people point out like, well, I asked Gemini how to make pizza sauce and it said to mix glue into the sauce, and or it's saying how, oh, you should eat this many rocks per day. The reason why I bring that up, silly examples aside, is that it got, if I recall correctly, got some of that information from some joke someone cracked on social media, right? So if you have like the information sources for these AIs getting fed with particular content, they might lean toward that. Now, of course, it's getting tailored all the time, and Google's working on Gemini, Microsoft's working on Copilot, OpenAI is working on ChatGPT, and they're trying to filter some stuff out or censor the AI to make sure it doesn't say certain things. So that'll probably cut some of that out. But you have to wonder, based on where it's getting the information and how it's getting it, what kind of biases is it going to have? And are those biases going to lean toward false information? I don't think we know until we ask the AI something and then we go to find out the information for ourselves from sources that weren't written by an AI.
Yeah. Right. And have you guys noticed this too? Religion is brought up like all the time in the feeds now. And what reality has that been a thing? And suddenly there's this onslaught of religious things or things about Christ or things about, and you're going, what is happening right now? Well, and then you've got people out there saying, oh no, there's going to be an AI God. And then you have people out there building this, there'll be computers that will be like out compute all the computers in the world. And it will in fact be like a God. And so, and then you match stuff like that up that you learn from people who actually are making this stuff. And then you look at your feed and you kind of go, yes, call me a dot to dot basic girl, but starting to see a pattern emerge here. They are feeding us so much of the crap they're trying to sell. It's unbelievable. And, just if anybody want to do a week in review on the Davos situation from the World Economic Forum, all those mental giants met a few weeks ago for a week and talked about all this AI stuff and and you're thinking to yourself, well, my feed is certainly reflecting a lot of this.
Well, you did talk about the cesspool of manipulation that we're living in a recent episode, Lori. But I mean, this just speaks to it that there's manipulation happening
Deception.
all around us, and I think that gets to the crux of what we're talking about in this episode with the manipulation that's going on behind the scenes with AI, with what we can do, what we can't do, pushing us, kind of backing people into a corner. And you guys are both talking about feeding the AI. One of the things that Louis Rossmann brought up in his video that I found very alarming, and not that it's far-fetched, didn't shock me at all, but I don't think that we're thinking about this as we're using things like ChatGPT or Gemini or anything that's using an AI platform. He was talking about like private works, things that are his specifically, that that he owns, he's created, that the AI is training on and the getting access to, not because he's feeding it to the AI, but because of cloud storage, the
Right.
AI. And he mentioned specifically Adobe. And I do want to bring that up also, because Adobe has what they call ethical AI. And so they have this, it's Firefly, I believe is the name of it. And they're really big on using so that they're not stealing people's art. And they have all of these protocols in place to where if you're trying to create artwork in Adobe Firefly, it's supposed to be ethical. But he was talking specifically about his work being stolen. Because of the cloud, things that he had stored in the cloud with Adobe. And I know it's not going to be singular to Adobe. So don't come at us, Adobe. This is going to be all across the board. Think about what you are inadvertently feeding the AI, not intending to, but because we're all cloud-based now for the most part. This is where everything is going. Everything is digitized in this way. And then I got me to thinking about the things that people are deliberately feeding the AI. So he's having his work, his private information, the things that he has created stolen that he didn't willingly feed the AI. And you have people that are taking their books, their music, they're taking all of their original creations and feeding it to the AI to get help with something.
Yeah.
Tell me about the prompts for this or that, or trying to create, or if you're putting all of your company information, let's say in ChatGPT or Gemini or what have you, and then you're saying, okay, come up with good website script for this, or come up with a good slogan for this, and you have just fed all of your proprietary information into this AI. But whether you do that or not, it's still, because of cloud-based platforms, it's still training on proprietary information. This is alarming, and I'm glad that Louis, and for everyone, I'm going to make sure that we link this in our socials and our YouTube. Laura, you'll link it in the show notes, I'm sure, this video, if anyone wants to go and watch this. But Louis Rossmann brought this up, and this is another way to essentially bury. So if we don't bury you in SEO, we're going to bury you through taking what essentially small entities, small business owners and creators have made and feeding it to the larger pool. And now anyone, who doesn't want to take the time to be inventive and ingenuitive on their own can now just go and gain from something that you spent years of your life perhaps building. And we should all take a look at this and not turn a blind eye and go, well, it doesn't affect me. It's going to affect every single one of us, and everyone listening. It's going to affect your children and your grandchildren and your great grandchildren. Like, moving forward, it's changing the shape of the world, how we function in the world. It is literally changing the shape of things. What we have all been used to is going away. It's going to change. I'm not trying to fearmonger here, but it's like we are at a sharp curve right now where we need to get a handle on this, and we all need to be aware of what's happening, because we're having a change in the way things are done.
For sure. And they've been just dripping it in for a very long time, and we're just behind in feeling it, but they've come to a place where now they can just start to kind of really, they can really just start, waterboarding us with it, because there's so much in the behind the scenes that they've been at the ready for with this, that we were unbeknownst. I mean, we're not out here thinking like that. Right. And now, I want to get to, and I know you have some notes, Sarah, but I think if I had to think of a couple things that's on my heart about this, because there's a lot, we could do a whole show on just a lot of the aspects we've brought up already. One is now, they've got the bots. There's like a whole social network for bots now. And what's it called? crab something. It's like its little logo is like it's a crab, looks super demonic.
I don't know. I
Claw,
haven't
it might be
seen that.
claw something. I'll have to find it. It's very interesting, but and so it's like a social network for bots. But there's this website where you can go and they're offering people money to integrate with the bot land. So, and
I'm
you
gonna
actually
need a minute on
go in there,
this.
and this is where it gets really slippery slopey, because there's people out there do anything for $50, whatever. And you go on this thing, I'll find it for show notes. I'll write about it in the bulletin.
Yeah, wow.
But you go in there and you say, kind of like how Fiverr, here's how much money I want to make, or this, that, and the other thing, and it has a list of tasks, and it kind of matches you up to like the money expectation. And a lot of it is just going and commenting on the bot sites. So it's clearly all a training tool, right? They're using so that bots can become as efficient at art, because how many bots there are now answering on Facebook.
Yes, but Lori,
50%.
I can't get past the fact that there's an entire social network just
there
for
is,
bots.
bro.
Why do they need their own social network?
Because this is how they're trying to. It's a training thing. That's how I figure.
Wow.
Like I'm no expert at this thing, right? If you put two and two together, so like I know that like this website that you can go and visit, and you can actually make money by integrating into things that have to do with training bots. I know that website, that thing is one of the places where you can earn money.
Wow.
So because people like, and if you see like the fake rage and all this stuff that people don't understand that is fake rage, there are so many bot accounts. Now, who among us doesn't understand that there's bot accounts, and they will take your name? And I don't know how many friend requests you get, even from people that and you go, okay, I'm pretty sure this is a fake account. And who doesn't know? And here's a little fun fact. If you don't know, never accept a friend request from anybody, even if it's your best friend's name, because your best friend is going to make an announcement that they are getting a new page. Never, ever. And if there's nothing on these pages except photos that they've clearly stolen, whatever. Now, there's one level of bots that's happening, but there's other levels of just AI bots in there that they're putting in that don't even have pages. Like, it's not even about the page anymore. So they're saying that up to 50% of comments now on social media are bot generated. Okay.
I don't doubt it. I mean, you see so many things that are designed to rile people up and to get actual human beings, to go and get on a rant or get on a platform, or, it's all done to just get under everybody's skin and trigger people. And
it's working.
Like you said.
It's working. And it's sad. So there's that aspect that's got me really curious about where all that's going. But also, Connor, like you're a 20-something guy, right? You're in this field. I know people in your age groupings. Not that I don't like that grouping thing, but that are in, like they're doing the computer thing. But I know people that are in their 50s that are in the computer thing, and they've been in the computer thing for decades now. And I've seen people across the board, from the 55-year-old to the 28-year-old who's in the computer world through a company. And now they're asking their people to onboard with AI. And they're, these people aren't happy about it, right? It's just like, this is sort of what I do. This is kind of why you hired me, is because I'm really good at this particular whatever company we're dealing with here. It doesn't really matter. But all these bigger companies are onboarding the AI thing and sort of forcing their computer people to be okay with it. Now, I do know that there's a difference between making an acceleration that can really help productivity in some realms and being used as a tool. But at another point is though, at what point are we just, are you training the thing to get rid of your job? So A, is that a thing? And B, how are people supposed to get jobs anymore? This is something that I think has got everybody just a little bit jangled, because it was sold to us that you'll have a great career forever if you know about computers, if you know IT, if you know this, you know that. And now I know people in IT are going, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? So just your thoughts from where you sit, Connor.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think in terms of like whether or not there'll be jobs in the tech field going forward, I think there's going to have to be, to keep some of this AI stuff under control. You got to have someone who maintains it, and you got to have someone who keeps an eye on it and makes sure it's not doing something it isn't supposed to. Kind of hard to say where it's going to go within the next 10 and 20 years. I think in my space, identity and access, it's going to be really difficult for certain jobs to be taken by AI just because of how complicated it gets. And there's not just like one answer to every particular situation. You have to take everything within context, and I think that's something that AI doesn't do very well, unless it's been fed the answer or the information on said context before. I also think that's why a lot of these companies, or allegedly or seemingly, a lot of these companies are taking data that people are feeding them. Even like with Adobe, it's supposed to be ethical AI and protected, like Sarah said, but if they're taking that data, which it seems like that's what's going on, then it makes sense that they'd want to do that so that they can train the AI to be able to start doing some of that stuff. So it's really hard to say. I know a lot of people say, well, AI is going to take the jobs. Also, I know a lot of people who say, well, not necessarily, because look at how bad AI is doing. So I don't know. That's a tough one to.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, but I guess what I'm saying is, though, it's like, yeah, I get it. There's always going to be need for humans that are doing things on computers, but is it going to all end up being just surrounded in the realm of AI?
I think yes. If that's what
you see what I'm saying,
I see what you're saying. Okay, yes, I think so.
Like you're hiring me to calibrate a thing for a company that's this, that, and the other thing. Well, now we got AI coming on board to kind of help us out here, blah, blah, blah. So you're teaching it, you're working with this program, right? So the AI part of it seems like the tool, and you're actually kind of the tool that's helping them, understand those things that you just mentioned, where there's not just an A or B answer or whatever. And so eventually, though, they are supposedly, from the giant, maniacs that say this stuff, that have trillions of dollars invested in it, that they will get this good. So, and supposedly it's not 10 or 12 years away. It's like, we're almost on the cusp of it. That's what people like Musk and all these knuckleheads are talking about. So if you have like people that have been doing a job in a computer arena, your shift is basically just going to be to babysit the AI situation. So it's going to boil down to a very uncreative job now, because I think that, working with computers is a creative job, unlike other people who think it's not. It's like, no, it is. It's kind of robbing that from people in the IT world. I don't know. I just wonder, it bothers me so much when I see people coming out of school thinking they were going to do a thing, or whatever. And now you're getting out there and you're like, oh, how well do you know AI, this or that or the other thing? It's like, well, we really weren't being taught that. We were only told that we could, use it on our tests. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very weird thing, the job market these days. So
it's not going anywhere. AI is not going anywhere, and
it's
it is
not
here for the long haul. And it is, like you're saying, it's creeping into everything, and it's going to become, I think, more prominent in all of these fields and all of these jobs, whether it completely takes over or not. It's going to be there. It's going to be an integrated part of what we're all doing. I mean, I think moving
Right.
forward, it's going to hit all of us. I don't think that any of us are prepared for the next 10, 20 plus years of what our daily life is going to look like with AI. And I don't know that we can even fully predict it, other than what we hear the big tech giants talk about, and what we know is what they allow us to know is coming down the pipeline. You know, like we talked about wearables on the show so many times. We've had 2 shows on data centers. You know, we're kind of we're breaching, or we're getting into some of this, but we only know what we know. And I know that there's a lot of corporations, there's a lot of people funneling a lot of money into this, that they see a lot more than you and I are able to see right now. And so I don't know what the future is going to look like.
I don't either, but I can tell you this, like having Connor in who works in this stuff, and he knows a heck of a lot more than give me a break. I know, listen, I don't know how to get a glitch out of my little, audio jack in my, it's not my world, but I'm a thinking human being. And the one thing I recognize is these conversations are very important, because we are so far behind, and because we so don't understand what's coming. I think it's just really important to, start to really sit with this a little bit, because regardless of which now they've got everybody just totally in the, no, they're not going to take all the jobs, or, yeah, I think they are going to take all the jobs. It's always about the fear factory thing.
Right.
Regardless of how many jobs they take, replace this, that, or create, or whatever end of the spectrum people are on, right now we're experiencing already, it has changed how you get a job's landscape, where you sit within. Am I the 60-year-old who can't get a job now, even though I've been working with computers and I've been building websites for the past 25 years? I'm up to date on all of the latest whatevers, but I'm not going to get a job now. To the person coming out of college for a myriad of different types of degrees, that AI is very busy and will easily take over certain areas of this. And how do you, that's the conversations we need to start having.
Yeah.
How do we tap into more of what we have that it doesn't, called ingenuity, called, creativity, and figure out how we, how are we operating in this? I just, I want to say it scares me, but whatever, there's a list of that. I ain't got time for all the fiery stuff, but it's alarming, and it's because it's happening. But I'd rather not sit in the fear part of it. I'd rather sit in the, let's all just talk about this and see if we can't figure out how we, how are we maneuvering in this, and what's going to be important. And Connor, do you have any thoughts on this? Because you're a young man,
Yeah, I think we need to be very careful at not like getting consumed with fear over it's going to take over the jobs, it's going to do this, it's going to do that, just because some CEOs at a big tech company or some engineers at a big tech company say that's going to happen. They don't know what the future is going to turn out to be. None of us know what the future is going to be. They might predict that this is going to happen based on some trends they're seeing, but it may not turn out that way, or it may not turn out the way they exactly said it was going to. So we need to kind of take a step back, take a breather, and understand that, hey, it's not the end of the world, and there's got to be an alternative out there, or ways we can navigate around this to continue to maintain creativity, to continue to maintain being able to put out who you are as a person and what your business is. I think part of that's really going to come down to either we decide to continue on the path of convenience that big tech has already set up for us, by using their search engines and using their phones and using their laptops and using their AI chatbots and you name it, whatever software or hardware piece you're talking about. Either we continue on in the realm of convenience by using what they've made, or we start looking at the alternatives. We start looking at the platforms that are saying, well, no, we're not really going to put up with all this AI use. We start looking at open source technologies that are these passion projects that these developers who are doing it for free are working on to give people an alternative to the big tech equivalent that they can come to, so they have another option. And
Talk
there are
about that.
so many out there, that exist, and people don't realize it because they don't look for it. And I get why they might not want to look for it, because the reality is you're going to lose convenience by going for those alternatives. They're not as mature, they haven't been developed as long, or they don't have as much money backing them, so it's harder to develop them to that point of convenience. But also, the convenience that we get out of these big tech platforms comes from us giving up information and sacrificing privacy, this and that. It either way, like, you're either going to give up your information, you're going to give up your creativity, you're going to give up being who you are genuinely and go toward stay on the train of big tech and continue with the ways of convenience to where you can have everything the way you want to have it with little effort, or you care about those other things and you're going to put in the effort to go for the alternatives. That's what we're looking at here. And it's sad we have to see it that way, or it has to be that way, because it would be great if we could have, the convenience and be able to continue to have the same level of creativity, to not put things through the AI filter. It's kind of a bit of a dark time in that regard, but there is a way out. I think we have to come together and cooperate and figure out, well, how are we going to establish these communities that make these things thrive?
Very good.
Yeah, I agree.
Sort of the subculture thing is what you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay, so give me an example, and like, how would somebody, like, pick a thing that somebody is trying to do that might tap into more what you're talking about, Connor? Because talk to me like I'm for, because I think you're right. Most people don't understand open AI, open source rather. They don't understand so much that they're just consuming what they're throwing out there. And if you're making it just like, sensible buttons you push, just like all the iPhones and all the things, they try and make it so user friendly. All right. I think people think that's all there is. So give me an example of what you're speaking to, because I know there's more people out there that that their sensibilities about life right now is the hair on the back of their neck is up, and they want to try and avoid as much as they possibly can with thinking about how to take care of a family, this and the other thing. And they want to still use their good old fashioned creativity. They want to be part of something, a new culture that helps kind of raise up another option of things. And I know that is already happening. But how do more people that maybe want to get into that find it?
I think it comes from shifting from a culture of convenience to one of, how do I put this? To one that puts in the extra effort to learn how to do more things, learn how to create things that have more than just function to them, but also some substance to it, an artistic substance to it. But on like the tech side of it, I think it's going to come down to people needing to go and explore some of the different technologies out there. Like there are all kinds of web browsers, for instance, that aren't Chrome or Edge or Firefox.
That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah,
think
and
most people don't know. I think they think there's
Safari.
three.
yeah,
Mhm.
and so, or yeah, Safari. Like one I'm using now, and a lot of web browsers, they're based on a larger one. So like Chrome and Edge and Opera and I think Brave. There's other ones out there. They're based on Chromium, but then you have a bunch of browsers that are based on Firefox. I think Gecko's the underlying thing of it. But a lot of the Firefox browser alternatives out there tend to be more privacy based. I know Brave's kind of the exception on the Chromium side, but one I'm looking at or been using right now is Zen browser. And I just found it because I was doing research on different browsers that I could get. And you're not going to find this stuff in the top results. You're not going to find this stuff by being like, typing in what's the best browser out there that I can use.
Mhm.
You're going to have to find it by digging deep. And I think the challenge is that a lot of people, they want to get a quick answer. They want to have quick results. And that's why I mentioned shifting from a culture of convenience to one that focuses more on putting in extra effort to get things done. And to do more than just get the function or the result out of it that we wanted, but to add more to it. Like, because you kind of think, and this makes me think of one video I watched a while back, not directly related to tech at all necessarily, but I think it was something along the lines. The title was "How Did the World Get So Ugly?" And it was comparing between now and Victorian period, and how. And one thing that really stood out to me, whereas in London, there's these street lamps that are very artistically decorated, and they
Mhm.
were the first street lamps there. And Victorians made these, and they could have just made something bland and ordinary,
Mhm.
but they put in more time to add a little bit of beauty to it. They didn't have to do that, but they did do it. Whereas now you look at street lamps we make, it's like, okay, it's a pole and the lamp part with the light. Like that's that's what you've got.
Industrial steel columns. Yeah.
Yeah, industrial steel columns. And we obviously that's the point of the street lamp. It meets its purpose, but that's about it. But then you look back at the Victorian one, and it certainly probably doesn't do its job near as efficient as the modern one, but it's still standing around, whereas the modern ones get replaced all the time. I think it's because people admire the beauty. It's interesting to look at. It's not boring, as I think the guy who made the video said. It's not boring. It wasn't made to be the the most beautiful, amazing thing in the world, but at least to be pretty, interesting to look at is what he said. And I think that's why it's still around. Now, taking it back to this, it's like, why don't we do more of that? Not just in terms of what we build, but why don't we put that kind of extra effort into even the simple tasks, like finding an app that meets our needs, or finding a piece of hardware that we can use, in our life, that isn't an iPhone, and I know that's hard to say because iPhones are so dominant. You do have the Android space, but then you're getting into Google. Fortunately, there's not a lot in the phone market as far as alternatives, but you do have ways to de-Google phones, where you install a custom installation of Android on an Android phone, and it would get that has none of the Google components, because Android at its base it's not Google. It just has mainstream Android just has a bunch of Google thrown on top of it. Just stuff like that. It's shifting from convenience to putting in a bit more effort. And I know that's hard. It's easy for me to say too, because I like convenience. I think all of us love convenience because it makes things easy. We don't, so spending 5 minutes on, or 30 minutes on something, you spend 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's proven to be a lie
Yeah.
though. It doesn't, you don't have any more time.
Right. Well, I think also what you're saying too, it is what I'm, one of the things that's going through my mind is we're kind of we have this default mode and what's familiar and what's popular and what's just easy to go to. And so just thinking about Louis Rossmann and his video and search engines and, Google is what everyone is using, or some version of that, some platform that's using Google, even if you're not going to google.com. And I think, and so we're talking about, or Louis is talking about burying things on Google, and how often have we gone and tried to find out, is there a way around Google? Are there other things I could be looking at? And I think because we all just kind of run our lives on default mode in so many things, we're going through the motions, default mode, without taking the time to really look further into how can I do something different. It might take a little extra time to figure some things out, to try something new. But I think default mode is what is going to be the detriment of all of us if we're not careful, because when you're in default mode, you're not fully paying attention. You are not, you're not really looking around. You're not getting that peripheral vision and looking at everything that's going on. I think you're just kind of going through the motions. It becomes very rote, and that's dangerous, and that breeds complacency, and that just sort of, I don't want to say it breeds laziness, but honestly it does, because that's kind of the trap of convenience sometimes. And then you kind of lose that spark to want to do more. And I think if we're going to get ahead of this and what's happening with AI sanitation, with AI preferential treatment in all of these things, and trying to get ahead as human beings, still trying to have our voice be heard as individuals, as actual human beings, over the noise of AI, because it's not going anywhere. We're going to have to be willing to put more time and energy into this. No longer are we going to be able to run on default mode and get ahead and continue doing the things that we've been doing, or that we enjoy doing, or that we want to do, ideas that we have that we want to take out there. We're going to have to put some more effort and work behind it. Or if we want to exist in default mode, we're going to have to give everything over to AI. And one of the things in the Louis Rossmann video, he was so passionate about what that was hurting him. Like, I feel like you could see the internal struggle that he had, was that he knew that in order to keep the lights on, basically, in order to continue his business, pay his employees, and continue to build and grow and thrive as a business, he was going to have to compromise his integrity and compromise, what he felt was the right thing to do by putting his own voice out there. He was going to have to use AI to write his script. And he was going to have to settle for a website that was written in a voice that was not his.
Yeah.
And it was either that, or he's going to lose business. He's going to have to let go of employees. His numbers are going to fall. And he's, and that, again, are there ways around that? Because I do believe that we can I'm sure that he could put his mind to it, and he could we could all come up with maybe some ways around this. I don't know. I think it's going to be a large battle going forward, but that's kind of where we're at. You can exist in default mode and give up and go, okay, I give into the AI. Let's go 100%. Let's go full force on the AI. I'm going to have AI do everything for me. If that's where you feel like you are. But if you are someone who says, that's not what I want, then it's going to take a lot of effort moving forward, that we're not going to be able to just run, on that, just sort of going through the motions that I think that we've all sort of been used to doing. Like, oh, I'm going to throw some posts up here. Oh, I'm going to, get some keywords in over here. And I think that's the thing that bothered me most from listening to what he said, was the slap in the face to professionals and to people who have spent their life and their talents on writing, copywriters in general. And I'm someone, I've done a lot of copywriting. I am very familiar with and have a lot of experience with SEO. And, thinking about all the people that Louis Rossmann paid to write these things for his website, thinking about things that I have written, that colleagues that I know who are also copywriters and have written numerous things. Lori, you've written a lot of copy as well. What a slap in the face to professionals to say this AI scripted material is going to take top priority over human beings, individuals who have a talent, have a skill, and a love for writing. Whether you're writing copy, whether you're right, whatever you're right. Think about the individual who has all of these ideas in their head, and it's not difficult to learn SEO. And you plug in your keywords, and you polish it up, and you get your own unique voice to it. And it's beautiful and it's great. But AI is going to script it out in 2 seconds, and it's going to take precedence over yours. Your writing will be buried at the bottom of the pile because a human wrote it and not AI. But if you just let the AI write it, you'll be right at the top. You'll make money. Everything will be great. And so we're back to the manipulation tactics. And it's, where do we go from here? I think it's going to be a lot. It's going to take the creativity and ingenuity of the human race to find workarounds, to find loopholes. But every time we find a workaround, AI is going to come in and squeeze that out. And we're going to have to, so we have to keep an energy about us. I think we have to keep our heads up, and we have to be willing to roll up our sleeves and our pants legs and get in there and do real work and continue being the creative human beings that we are, and find a way to live with AI, work with AI, because it's not going away, like we said, but also find ways that we can still be heard above the AI noise, because I don't know, I think just listening to Louis Rossmann talk about the implications for everyone in this going forward, it is alarming. And it can be very easy, I think, to get discouraged, but that's not where we need to be.
No, I agree. And it was very much, I'm so glad you brought that video to our attention, Connor, because it definitely, I was sad mad, and I definitely felt the authenticity that he has for his work, his employees, his own voice. It shined through for sure. And you're looking at somebody like that going, no, I don't want to see his thing be diminished. He's got a light going on for a love of what he does. He has an expertise for what he does. He's just a guy who loves what he does, and he's good at it. And he has his own style and his own vernacular and all that. And now he's being told, yeah, your words aren't good enough for you to become part of where people will find you.
Mm-hmm.
That should be very alarming to anyone. And bravo for bringing this up. I absolutely loved this video that you brought us for the implication of it, Connor. I was not aware of the SEO situation going on with that. And that's awesome. And I really hope that you'll come back, like anytime you have, because you're you're in that wheelhouse, and you've been a little IT genius guy since you were very young, and I know you spend a lot of your time in this, and you have the desire and the creativity to find the ways to do a runaround. And I would love for you to come back on the show from time to time and share some of those things with us, because you're right. We're all saying the same thing about it's here to stay, and fear just lowers your frequency. What we need is to raise our frequencies out there. We need to surround ourselves in beautiful things. And we have to remember that humans have made all the beautiful things that are ornate buildings, and like the example of the lamppost and and all these things, and all those things raise our frequencies. And they have it's been part of the brainwashing mission to homogenize everything and to destroy old buildings. And there's literally an actual energy conversation here to be involved. And school buildings look like prison buildings, look like state buildings, look like courthouse buildings now. All the new things they build are just like so gross and so badly lit and so inornate. And that's not, and all it does is makes you realize, I'm not really missing anything out here. And everything on the screens is more interesting.
And what's wild? They, I think it was a sewer house. Mention that same video with the street lamps. There's a sewer house like that for the first sewer network that was built in London. I think it was the first. Definitely go check out the video. It's something along the lines of how did the world get so ugly?
I will.
But we'll try to link it if we can.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. I'll find the video so you can link it in the description.
That's good.
But essentially there's this sewer house, but the interior is so ornate. And that was the society, the culture of the Victorians, is that everyone should have a nice place to work. We build things, we do things not just for the function. We put in the extra effort to make it look interesting, to give it substance,
and for the creation of it. We're meant to create things.
Yes. And there's a big difference from creating concrete block structures to creating these ornate pieces, and what it does to the human mind, both the person who is creating it and then the person who is viewing it. And that translates to society. I don't think we realize the difference in when we can create and view beautiful things, intricate things, interesting things that really engage our minds versus just plain bland concrete block. There's nothing to it. It changes the entire fabric of society. It really does. And you can't sit here and think that this has all been done just randomly, that it's not by design, that we have gotten away from such beautiful art all around us that engages us as human beings versus, just bland and blank and uninteresting. Like you said, it brings us to the screens.
It does. And that really kind of sums up the equivalent of the AI versus the human conversation. It really, really does. And that's where we find ourselves now. It's just one more piece of this watering down the need for creativity, undermining the importance of it. Eliminating it from important things, in teaching it, in respecting it, in advocating for it, in encouraging people to do it. We've been watering that down for so long. It's why some of us prefer, if you ask me what are my favorite cities, I wouldn't name one in the United States, with the exception of maybe Manhattan, but only because they still have a lot of the old left. But honestly, so much of that has changed. Listen, I love America, but I love the country. I love going out into the country of it. But as far as our cities go, it could be one looks like the next, honestly, so, and it's a whole, I can't express the difference in the vibe. And that's why I know that the frequency thing is real. So
Yeah.
when you're walking down cobblestone streets and everything you see is ornate and it's old, and you go, wait, stop, have a reverent moment for how long that's been standing there.
Yeah.
And who made that with what kind of, you have to go and be intentional about finding that here. You're just not seeing it on your normal day. You're just driving by every outlet mall, looks like every outlet mall, every apartment building looks like every apartment building now. It's really getting bad. It's really getting so bland.
But
so
man, it captures your attention when you see it. When you see something like that, it stops you in your tracks.
It does.
And you're like, whoa, that's cool.
It shifts your entire insides. You literally feel better. I mean, I have had actual physiological reconditioning when I've spent time in an old city, or just the restaurant life. Now we make our restaurants all look sterile and concretey, and everything's heavy metal and concrete. And yeah, it's cool for a one-off, but no, there's a lot of it now. Now it's like the trend. Everything's got to look this like hard. Everything's so hard, and colorless. I mean, my God, we got colors of the year, and they're like white off some white and beige and some form of gray. What are we doing with our life?
Everyone
right
on
now?
YouTube, don't look behind me.
It's a good point. I mean, Sarah has a very zen-y kind of like,
sterile environment going
It's-
on over here.
I'm over here like, can we got lime green? Can we get some listen, I'm just renting this joint. I can't be painting the way I'd paint. You've seen how I'd paint.
Yes.
But the thing, I'm sorry, I'm just like banging my microphone. Everything's new.
It's a drop the
Everything's
mic
new.
moment.
I know it. Listen, I'm going to shut up. Listen,
right.
There's too much going on here with this topic, which has been 18 topics. This is a good one, though. I'm so glad we brought this up. And Connor, if you would please keep us in your thoughts when you come across something that you think we need to talk about. And I'd also really love your input with, just stuff from, where you sit. I think your voice is very important right now, because you're a guy willing to do the work, willing not to be just in the flow of just trend after trend after trend. You, my friend, are not a hashtag moment. You are someone who has something to say and is a great thinker. And I really respect you for that. And so anytime, we'd love to have you back. And I know it seems nepotistic. All right.
Oh, here we go. Nepotism.
But listen, if you weren't the broad son and I knew you'd be coming on anyway. All right.
He's our honorary tech guy on the cast.
We need an honorary tech guy, because Lord knows what, if anybody needs an honorary tech guy, it would be me. All right. But no, help us navigate this, Connor. I'd love to have you on from time to time, because listen, I'm just admitting that we are so like, we don't know what's happening. And I try and pay attention, but it's not my wheelhouse, So yes, whenever I can learn something from somebody who it is their wheelhouse, we need that. So me and our folksy way of just getting it out there, might help people that are navigating a tough job market right now, or who are really wanting to get off this wheel and don't really understand, but desire is the number one thing, isn't it? I think we've come to that conclusion. There needs to be a desire to not be the same as everyone else.
Yeah. And, I'll just say, like, obviously it goes without saying, a lot of this is what I think based on some of the things I'm seeing. So, everyone just needs to, listen to what I say, take that, and think about it, but go out there and look at what other people are doing or what other people are saying, and get their thoughts and put it all together and come to your own conclusion on all of this.
Sure.
'Cause I'm certainly not,
you mean
guy who knows
research things
everything.
for yourself, like we talk about on the
and honestly,
show all the time.
well, listen, if there's ever a caveat to our show, that should be it. I don't care what we're talking about here. Always do your own research, and always, and listen, and you always have to plug in your own where you're at in life too. So like, you pull things that have, reference to you. Oh, it caught my attention because that makes sense in my world. And some of the things we talk about won't make sense in your world. And so it doesn't mean anybody's wrong either. It just means it doesn't have applicability for your particular scenario. So we talk about things all the time. People would think they're disagreeing with us on it. It's just like, well, we're not here to disagree. We're here to have conversation. And you do your research. Typically what we talk about is we have done our research on things, or we bring somebody on who has, and certainly unless they're doing what you do and do it as often as you do. And I think as wide, because I know you have it, like, Connor will lose me. Okay. Because Connor has the passion to tell you about all this stuff, but he has the mind, but he knows how to get a whole different phone operation system, all the things. And it's fascinating.
I vouch for him.
Yeah, he has a fascinating mind, and it's very much wired differently than mine, but I respect it. And I really would love for you to come back again sometime, Connor. Any lasting thoughts here before we roll this out?
Oh, absolutely. I do want to leave one thing just as something for everyone to kind of think about. And I have so much more I could totally say on this topic, but I think that this is a good one to kind of leave it with from my side, is going back to those street lamps. And I keep going back to them, but they really stood out to me in that other video I mentioned, because a guy who made the video, he said that they were mass produced. So the Victorians figured out how to mass produce that. A lot of the time, the argument I hear against making beautiful architecture, or say beautiful street lamps, or putting in extra effort to make things of substance like those that are interesting to look at, they don't just serve a function, is that, well, it's not affordable, we don't have the time, you can't mass produce it. Victorians figured out how to. If it wasn't affordable for them, would they have done it? If they couldn't have mass produced it, how did they make so many of them like that? So, but they figured out how to mass produce them. So my thought is, what's stopping us from figuring out how to do that with new things of substance that we want to create?
That's it, brother. That's a good one.
I love
That's
that.
awesome. I can't top it. Sarah, you got something?
I do. I got one final closing thing, and I hope it's okay. I would like to read a couple of quotes from Connor regarding this topic, regarding the thoughts of Louis Rossmann and what's happening and going forward, because I really think that this really hit me. And when I read it again, I went, this just summarizes everything that we've talked about on the show today. And I just want to leave these thoughts with our audience. He says, this is what you get with a society that values convenience above all else. It's engineered to be this way, and there's nothing natural about it. My kids and your grandkids won't know what it's like to get a job or be successful based on who they are as a person. My age group is going to be the last to have success at that unless something changes. Kids will grow up getting jobs and finding success based on what AI says about them, not through an honest representation of themselves. So let's take that going forward and thinking about, what do we want? How do we want the function of our lives in this world to be going forward? What kind of world do we want our children and grandchildren living in? And I think that just summarizes for me, the importance of why we brought this topic to our audience today.
That makes me teary. But it's true. And I see that, and I feel that. And I also think that, anybody who has wisdom should be sharing it more. I'm so tired of just the, I don't know, like the not of substance type everything, art, clothes, nothing. Listen, if you know how to sew, teach somebody how to sew. If you have kids that are interested in how to, burn metal and mold it together, I just feel like people don't even know what the options even are anymore. It's just gotten to a really sad place. And even the older people have traded in convenience for not standing up for what's really awesome and cool and great skills and beautiful pieces of art. And yeah, why can't we mass produce? I'm pretty sure the Egyptians were, never mind the Victorians. I mean, I'm just saying there has always been a way to get things out and get things done from the human mind, human heart, human hands. And God made us that way. So
Amen.
I just feel like we need to start using that, my friends. So Connor, thank you so much again. This was wonderful. Sarah, glad you shared those words of his. It was perfect. So find us on the socials, subscribe to us on YouTube, please, because listen, we got a big AI machine against us.
Yeah.
Because we are the non-AI broads.
We write all of our own SEO material. So
and can't you tell? And listen, and there's going to be no change in that anytime soon. Right. And just know that if we get really in a pickle, we got somebody like Connor behind us. So y'all take care of each other out there. We love you. Thanks again, Connor. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
100%. Take care, buddy.